Uh, Hello friends, hello student. So last class I have given the some introduction of the data science, why the data science is important, what we can do with the data science, for what application we can use the data science, right? Uh, Before going to the entire process of the data science, first we need to know about the how the data science will work. What is the workflow for of the data science? So, what are the steps are required to implement any data science related project, right? So, these we will discuss today, and what kind of the databases are available for dealing with the data analysis. Okay, so this we will discuss. Data science, as I have already told that the data science, the data plus science, right? That means you are going to investigate something from the data. We will get some conclusion from the data. This is the data science process. So for getting some conclusion from the data, we need to know what are the steps are required for getting some conclusion from the data, right? This process we need to know. What are the steps are available now? So there are the various steps. So main steps are this one. One is the retrieving data, the data preparation, data explanation, data modeling, and some outcome from the data that or presentation of the data analysis, right? And before going to the entire process, first you need to know what is the objective, what is the my research goal of my data science project. So suppose if you want to use the data science in finance application, what is your goal, what is the objective? Okay, first you should know, you should clear about this thing, the research goal or objective of your work. Suppose if you are working the data science in the healthcare sector, so for this also first you need to identify the research goal. So if you are a research, if you are a student or if you are a researcher, first you need to know what is your application, what is the requirement, what is the objective. So for going to this thing, we need to know about the research goal, okay, or the research literature review you have to do. So now I'll come one by one. Okay, so what are these things? This first I will discuss one by one. So suppose first we need to know the research goal. So this I will discuss in the next class. Next slide, the retrieving data. Data can be retrieved from the various external website, or if we are working in institute or in a health or a hospital or a medical institute, you have some internal data, and based on the internal data also some ownership will be there, and this based on the ownership we need to collect the internal data. Suppose you want to collect your hospital data, you are working as a researcher in the medical institute, so you need to take permission for that. So this is the data ownership. External data, these are the public, you can easily get those data. And after that the second process is the data preparation. And the data preparation, the data cleaning, data transformation, and the combining. Data cleaning means if you in some missing data are available in your data set, you need to clean those data. Okay, so these are the or some outlier means some noisy data or the data which is not relevant to other data. Okay, these are the outlier, these we need to clean. Data transmission means some aggregation, exploration, and some creating dummy data. These I will discuss in the coming lecture. Okay, what is the the transformation? Next, combining data. Sometimes you have the different data set. You need to combine those data. So combining data. These are under the data preparation. And data explanation means you need to visualize those data using the simple graph, combine graph, or the bar chart. Various graphical representation are there, right? So using this, you can explore those data. After exploring some time, you need to remove some data from the data set, and then you have to go for the data modeling. Without exploration the data, we cannot decide which data modeling, what are the modelings are required. So under the data modeling, you have the model evaluation, model execution, model selection, and the model deployment. These things are available under the data modeling. So these all the things we will discuss in the coming lecture. After that you need to get some conclusion. For that you need to know the do the data analysis and the presentation of the data. Okay, so these are the steps. So I'll discuss one by one. this step. So the what are the resetting? How do you do the research goal? Suppose you are a project, you are doing some project on the data science in a for a part in a particular area, right? So suppose the healthcare area. So first you need to know in healthcare area what are the application in healthcare area, what are the applications are there? Which in healthcare is also vast area, right? Suppose you need to analyze the brain tumor or need to analyze the blood pressure level. So for this, first you need to identify the which point you want to work out, right? After that, then you need to know. So if you have some objective and what kind of the data sets you need to use. Okay, but suppose if for a researcher, then you have to write a report also after doing the data science analysis. So for that you need to go through several literature. Okay, so in healthcare, so many, suppose I have chosen the one particular application. In particular application, what are the research gaps are there? You need to do something, right? Some different thing you need to do. So first you have to go through the literature review. Then you have to, once you get identify the research gap, once you get the objective, after that you need to collect the data, right? You need to go through the collection of the data. What kind of the data set you can use, right? What kind of data set you can use? So various data sets, but what kind of the data sets will be suitable for your project? This you have to choose. So that's why the research goal, the what is your mission, what is the objective, right? And how we are going to do the data analysis, what are the resources are available for collecting your data set. So these are the various thing we need to go through, we need to study. After that, we need to create a timeline. Okay, you need to create a timeline. Okay, so how up to third 3 months, within 3 months you can complete, or within 4 or 5 months it's required to complete your data analysis process. Because if you're working in a organization or private organization and company, you need to think about the timeline also, right? So these are the some research goal about when you're going for the data analysis. So before, at the first you have to do the research analysis. And now come to the retrieving, second part of the data, retrieving data. So you have the, you can collect from the internal data or you can collect from the external data. Internal data, for that the ownership is required, because if for working in organization, if you want to deal, you want to do some application, you want to do some data analysis with this, the internal data. Suppose the department, some internal data are available in the or institute, also some internal data available. You need to analyze those data, you need to get some conclusion from those data. So for that your ownership is required. External data means, so in website also you can get some external data, so which are freely available or public. So for that any ownership is not required for those purpose, right? So and what are the types of the data? Based on that you have to clean the data also, right? So what are the types of data? So various types of data means you are storing multiple values in a one storage, right? The data, this can be also defined as a database. So the simple term is can be defined as a database. Data can be stored in a various form in a one table. So this is also known as the database, right? So based on the size of the data, how many parameters are there, how many attributes are there, so you can divide the data into the different terms, right? So one is the data mart, one is the data warehouse, one is the data lake. First I'll discuss about the data lake. Right. Data lake is the different format of the data warehouse. In the data lake nowadays, if you want to deal with the data science, you will get some various unstructured data as well as the structured data. So data lake is a repository system where you can store the massive amount of the structured data as well as the unstructured data, right? From so normally unstructured data will get from directly from the data, some origin of the some sensor or some source. From there we will get the unstructured data, right? So now the data lake is also popular because you are for business requirement you need to collect some raw data also, unstructured data also, right? So data lake is the new concept as compared to the data warehouse and the data mart, right? So for based on your application and the business requirement, you have lots of the unstructured data also. So those we can store in a data lake in various format. Then the text file in the various doc file, various file will be there. The file extension will be various if you are collecting the data. Okay, for storing the data, you can various format you can store the data. Now come to the data warehouse. Data warehouse is this is also the can store the massive amount of the mainly structured data and from the various sources. So data warehouse in institute you have in your institute you have the data warehouse which can store the each and every department data, right? This is the data warehouse. And mm, uh, under the data warehouse you have the data mart. So suppose in each department data is stored inside the data mart, and all department data will be stored in the data warehouse. So data warehouse in the central repository system. Under this you have the data mart. Okay, so you can see here the data warehouse is the one central reproducing. So suppose the EC department data, this one is the under the this DMART data mart, the EC department data in this data mart, the CSE department data, here is the electrical department data. All the data will be integrated into the data warehouse. So in the inside the data warehouse you have all the structured data which includes the various departmental data. So this is the data mart. So the data lake is the different thing and data warehouse is the different thing. Under the data warehouse there is a sub part of the data warehouse which is known as the data mart, right? So what are the main difference between the data mart and the data warehouse? Data warehouse is the large repository system, this I have told, and the data mart is the specific the subgroup of the data warehouse. Like it's all departmental data can store in data warehouse, and the individual departmental data can be stored inside the data mart. As the data warehouse is the very central repository system, so it is if want to deal with the data warehouse, it is little bit complicated as compared to the data mart, and the size of the data warehouse also will be more like TB, and the data mart size will be like gigabit, right? And if want to handle with the data warehouse, it is complex as well as the it is very difficult to handle the data which are stored inside the data warehouse as compared to the data mart. Okay. So now I told the data warehouse and the data lake both are the two different things. So in the warehouse you can see in this diagram, and in this diagram you can see, so we are collecting the various structured data, right? One is green color is the one structured data, yellow color is the one structured data, and the structured data. So you can store in the structured data. So for that the data is already structured, just you need to organize those data and you have to put into the database, right? For this the data lake, the raw data are only available, and unstructured data this will be only inside the data lake. So you can see this is the data lake. Here the raw data and mixed data are available. So text data, some image file, video file, various files are available, unstructured and structured data. Here the all are organized. So here all the organized, all the similar kinds of the data in the yellow file, the similar kinds of the data all are, which are structured. Structured means I already told, so you know you can easily retrieve those data, no required to any cleaning required, very few cleaning process are required for the structured data, right? So these are the difference between the data lake and the data warehouse. So now come to the data provider. So this you suppose you need to use the public private. Normally this I told that internal data those will be stored in a different format, like the structured data, unstructured data, data lake, data warehouse, and data mart. But for case of I want to collect the public data, you should know some website from where you can get the public data. And if for dealing with the various application, you should know the for this specific application where we have to go for searching the database. And one is the data.government, the government related US government related data will be available. One is the open source, open data Europe. So this European Commission related data will be available. Like this is similar various organizations, the freebase.org, data.worldbank.org. So bank related data we can get from here. So the AI aid data dot organization, open FDA data, there's also food and drug related data will be available under this website. So these are about the data retrieval. I have discussed the entire data process and the data retrieval. So in the data process also various steps we told, the data preparation, data cleaning, data preparation, data retrieve, data preparation, data exploration, data modeling. Okay, so from the data retrieve section I discussed what are the data are available, from where you can get the data. And apart from the data retrieve, data cleaning, data preparation, data exploration, data modeling, these steps I will discuss in the next class. right? So I think you don't have any doubt, or if and you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe my channel. And if you have any comment, you can share on the chat box. Thank you.